You may have written a research paper in high school, but odds are that you were just regurgitating information you had found on a topic. In college, you're expected to take your research to the next level. When a professor asks you to write a research paper, they'll be expecting you to pose an original research question and to back up your writing with scholarly, peer-reviewed articles, books, and other published material from credible and relevant sources of information. That probably sounds extremely intimidating, but if you take the following advice, you'll start your college career off on the right foot. Number 1, don't be satisfied with the first source you come across. You may be used to doing this with Google, but you can't rely on this approach when doing research at the college level. Which leads us to number 2. The quality of your paper is dependent upon the quality of your sources, aka don't use Wikipedia. The library subscribes to online encyclopedias to help you find basic background knowledge on a topic.
Hi everyone, I'm here to talk to you about the library research and how to do the topic research you're going to have to do. First I'm going to go to the Virginia Western homepage. Right here we're going to type in library and then do a quick search. And we're just going to go to the Brown Library. And right here we are going to find articles, and we're going to look at databases, and let's say academic search complete is a good one possibly, so we could start right there. If you are off campus, it will ask for your credential. I already put it in, so here we are.
Replacement, right? So you're looking at replacement as a search term. If I just put replacement in, would I get a whole lot of results? Yeah. The database does not know right now that we're talking about a specific type of replacement. But we are. What type are you interested in? Joint replacements. That might include, now give me some examples, because I will tell you, I did some searching earlier, you're going to have some specific, you need to know some specific joints that are commonly replaced. So which ones? Hips. Any other one? Shoulders. All right, good. So that's maybe one branch of searching we might do. What else? Specific materials involved.
Titanium.
You're interested in metals, right? So titanium. Maybe metal in general. I saw a lot of research on metal hip replacement. So metal is a search term you may want to toss in. Anything else? So as a researcher, I'm going to automatically ask you, are you interested in a specific population? What I mean by population for medical research is mostly age group and or gender. So as you start your research, you might see some trends happening. You might see that there's probably a lot of research being done on replacements for older people, 50 years and above, for example. You may also, though, see some research on replacement for young people. That's a different population. Another population that you might want to consider are athletes, because they typically have injuries that would require replacement early. If a young person is getting a replacement, there's usually either a disease behind that or that they've strained it due to some kind of athletic work, right? All right, so the other thing you might want to think about would be an age group, if you have one in mind. Excuse me. I'm not fully recovered yet from my allergies. At this point, we have some possible search terms. Before we start searching, a lot of us do this internally now, especially if you've had a research class with me before. I tell you, you don't have to do that worksheet every time where you spell this out. But you do need to do it in your mind so you have some options. So now we've got some options. Let's actually start looking. So I want to start out with you guys in CINAHL because it's familiar looking to a lot of you. So this is by the same company that makes Academic Search Complete. So I show you guys Academic Search Complete in English 111. That's the one we practice with. You've seen it before probably. It looks just like this, but it just searches a different set of things. So remember, these are just search engines. There's all this pool of information down here, and this just sits on the top and goes out and reaches it, okay? So this one is just gonna go out and reach the health ones, the nursing and allied health journals that we have. So in the search boxes, you can try some of your search terms. So we can try something like joint replacement. And let's just see what happens if we just do joint replacement as a search term. So I like to show you sometimes what happens when your words are not quite good enough yet. So is joint replacement, is that on its own, is that gonna be good search terms for you? No, why not?
Where's your joint?
It's too broad.
It's too broad, it's too big right now. So we've got how many results?
Almost 2,000.
Yeah, almost 2,000 results. All right, so there are a couple of things you can do here. If you get to this point, and I promise you, you will, you guys will have a moment where you're at this point in your research. There are a couple of different ways you can make this pool smaller. All right, so first way, you can add another word in there if you want to. Okay, so you could add in, for example, let me show you what happens when I put in metal. Whoa, what happened there? Dropped way back to 48 results. All right, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Remember, that's why we call it research. We're just trying different stuff again and again. It's a lot of trial and error. So right here, with 48 results, that's a pretty manageable number. That's something we can glance through and see if we're missing something or if we need to change our search terms. What else can you do? Let me scroll in a little bit, zoom in a little bit. People in my English 111 class, where do I always direct your attention? It's a place you don't normally like to look when you look at a screen. The sidebars. All right, I direct you to the sidebars. We typically ignore those because the Google has taught us that the ads are normally in the sidebar. For us though, there's important stuff over there. Do you see any red flags over there on the left side under those limits that I might need to look at? Any red flags, anything I need to change maybe? Yeah, date. Right now I've got stuff going back to 1996. Not always an issue with research, all right? So don't get me wrong. If you're writing a paper about Shakespeare, you knock yourself out with that article from 1996 because he is dead and he hasn't changed since then. But have knee replacements changed since 1996? Yes, I hope so. God, I hope so. So we need to change that potentially, okay? So maybe we want to make that the last 5 years, the last 10 years. That's up to you guys. You're the scholars now, you're the researchers. You are more of an expert on this topic than I am. I'm a research expert. By the end of this class, if you're not already, you're probably going to be joint replacement experts, or pretty close to it. So you tell me, what should I make that date be?
2010.
2010. All right, sounds good to me. Let's change that. And then you do have to hit enter to get the changes to update. All right, cool. So we did drop off some of those old results. Now we've got 32. I'm going to zoom back out for a second so we can see the rest of the limits. Now, right now, we pretty much only have academic journals in our list. That's pretty good. That's common for medical databases. All right, so the way I can tell that is over on the left. I can limit my source type if I want to. I can say I only want academic journals. I can also look at language, English, and the nice thing about medical databases is you can look at age populations if you want to here. So if I only wanted to look at middle-aged people or older people, that's a way to do that right there. You can use these limits. Okay, so pay attention to the kind of limiters you see here. The other thing I would say for you guys is to actually look at the terms themselves in each article. So each article is going to have a title. It's going to have the authors and the journal, and then it's going to have an abstract. Abstract is just a fancy word for what? Summary. Exactly. So the thing that I wanted to mention to you guys about scientific literature, most of it is pretty long. Some 10 page, some 20 page, some 80 pages, depending on what you're looking at. So pay attention to the abstract. Take a look at the abstract before you click on an article and start reading it. All right. The other thing, so don't spoil it if you've had a session with me before, but I like to point out the subject headings down here. So I'm going to actually click on a title to show you the subject headings in a different way. All right. So if you click on a title, you still get the same information that you've gotten in your result list, but let's look at the subject headings here. Subjects, tags, if you will. What do you guys tag? What tags do you use in your everyday lives? Maybe you don't use them, but you're aware of them.
My friends on Facebook.
Yeah, you tag people on Facebook. You might tag something on Instagram. What do we call it when you tag something on Instagram with a subject? Hashtag. All right, a hashtag is searchable on Instagram, right? So if I'm on Instagram and my friend has tagged a picture of her baby as hashtag blessed, if I click on that, hashtag blessed, I see all the babies and weddings that people have tagged on Instagram, right? Okay, right? It's a common vocabulary, and you can tag something with a hashtag and connect it to all the other things that have been tagged with the same hashtag. Same thing with subject headings here, okay? So these are nerd hashtags, librarian hashtags, if you will. And these subject headings are the same, and they are going to be pretty detailed in the medical research. So for example, if you wanted to know about metals as a subject, you could click on that. But what might be more interesting to you guys for this project is to know about the adverse effects of metals. If you click on that, it will do that as a search, as a major search heading. And it will tell you there are 265 articles in this database about the adverse effects of metals. Not so bad for those of us writing a paper about the possible negative effects of a metal joint replacement, right? Pretty good. Look for a subject heading that matches what you're interested in and use those. Now you can also combine them. So again, up here in the search box, right now we just had it searching everything, but you can say I want the word joint replacement in my subject heading. I don't actually know if that's going to work. I might have to take out joint. Let's actually try replacement in this joint insert. Yep, there you go. So those are all the articles that have the word joint in the subject heading and metal somewhere else in the article too. Does that make sense? This is where searching gets more powerful. So if you saw me in English 111, I did not show you guys all of these different fields that you can search, but for this level of research that you're about to do for this project, this goes beyond your English 111, are guns bad? Like, this is a lot more detailed. There's a lot more research out there on this, but it's organized in a very clear and specific way. I will give it to us librarians. We're really good at organizing stuff. So we have it organized into specific subject headings, into specific areas. Once you find one that works for you, so for example, number one, this is probably a case study of a metal knee component that's still stable at 10 years. All right, let's say we want to use that one. This one looks good to us just based on the information we have. If you click on the title, on the left-hand side, you can see how we have access to it. So this one we happen to have PDF for. I'm going to click on it to show you why we like that. Why is a PDF awesome? Anybody looking at it? Why would we prefer this to an HTML, for example, document?
Because there's not all those pictures and crap on the page.
Yeah. HTML is kind of like web version. It's just all the words kind of crammed together, no punctuation much. You don't see formatting very well, so you won't see if they're charts and graphs, you won't see it. You also, for citation purposes, really love to see page numbers because all citation styles require you most of the time to cite the page number. HTML doesn't have that. So we prefer PDFs. If something is only HTML, that's not the end of the world. You can use it, but it becomes more complicated when you're citing it because you have to count paragraphs, starting at the top and count down to which paragraph your information's in. If you have a choice, go with the PDF, okay? The other thing I will mention to you, let's say that you are for sure looking, I don't even know how to say that word, tibial, metal tibial knee component. That's the part you're going to look at specifically. What part of this article will link you to a lot of other research on this topic, other than the subject heading? Looking at the PDF itself, what section should you always kind of pay attention to? As a scholar, advanced researcher. I'm going to give you a hint because I'm going to scroll to it. It's all the way at the end. Boom! What's this part?
Citations.
Citations, their bibliography. All right, so if you find one article about a source, one source that matches, one article that matches what you're interested in, pay attention to their reference list. All right, there may be a lot of other research in there that you can use about this same topic. I will tell you, researchers, especially in the medical world, will often write about the same topics again and again. They will also cite the same people again and again. So sometimes it's pretty funny because sometimes you can see the same authors listed a bunch of times in a reference list like this. But all of these references should be related to this article that you found. They should be related research for you to look at. Now, if you were in one of my English 111 classes, you know that I always also point out another sidebar thing here, your tools. Use the cite button. What citation style do you guys need to use for this class?
We haven't said it.
You haven't decided, you haven't talked about it yet? Okay. I will tell you, there are different ones for different subjects, right? For this class, I'm guessing it might be APA eventually. It's more scientific. There are lots of styles here though. Excuse me, so there's the APA citation. If you keep scrolling, Chicago is there, MLA is there. So the cite button can be helpful for you to help get your citation information if you need it. Make sure you double check it. It's not 100% correct usually, especially the MLA ones are out of date now. But get started with it. It's a helpful tool. So the other thing I want to mention to you guys, because you're working in groups on this, right? It's a group project. Okay. So you'll have multiple people doing the same research. You may want to consider having either an email list for your group, or you can create an account within our databases if you want to, and save articles. But if you set up just an email list where you're emailing each other the sources or things like that, the best way to send an email from here is to actually use the email tool, because what it does for you is sends the PDF and it sends the citation as well for the article. So you can put in multiple email addresses if you want. So there's a bunch of you working on the same paper, you can send an email from within here to all of your group at the same time if you need to, okay? So just get a list of their email addresses and you can send the email to everybody of the sources that you find. I want to give you guys some time for searching, and I want you to think about, if you decide to narrow down to a specific joint that you're interested in or a specific type of metal, play around with those search terms a little bit in here. And I'm going to come around and talk to you guys about what you're seeing on the screen, but you can always raise your hand if you have questions for me, or if you hit a wall, if you hit a bump in the road, I'll be here. But take a little bit of time to poke around, and if you find stuff that you think is going to be useful, go ahead and send an email to yourself with it so you don't have to find it again later. Like, you can go ahead and have some in your email ready to go from today if you get some that you like and you have a chance. All right, questions for me before I set you guys loose? All of our databases work about the same way. They look slightly different though. All right, so some of them look a little different. I want to show you the big one that's the biggest different one, I think, is probably Medline. So I'll show it to you. It's a big one. You see it only has the one search box as the default, but most of the time you can always go to advanced search and you can see the multiple boxes. All right, and same thing in the Anywhere, that's how you choose your field if you want a specific subject headings or things like that. It looks slightly different, it still works the same way though. All right, so play around. You can look in any of these that you want and see if you can find some sources that might be useful, and I'll come around and talk to you guys.